Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 281 for February 1st, 2023. This is our first ever do-over show, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On today's show, the matchup is set for Super Bowl 57. Tom Brady has retired again, and the Arena Football League is back, baby. In this week's history lesson, we talk about the history of the Pro Bowl. But I'm not here by myself. Across the table for me, as always, is the newest member of the Professional Football Researchers Association, my son Adam.
I apologize to now my current colleagues at the Pro Football Researchers Association, for I am clearly not a professional, neither am I a researcher, and nor do I associate with many people.
You'll have a good time.
I think I will.
Somewhere
it was more what you signed me up because
I did.
You needed a partner in crime at this event, apparently.
That's right.
And I like doing content for our show, so it was kind of a win-win situation. I'm excited. I've gone to one of your guys' meetings in the past, so they're usually a pretty good time. So why not just join and maybe I can help write a book down the line? Who knows?
We'll see.
I'd love to get my name slapped on a book. Let's do this. History of the 1957 Detroit Lions.
Oh, there you go.
Let's make it happen, Pro Football Researchers Association.
We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube, where we post the entire audio portion of this show, as well as other selected videos. We're also on Amazon Music, so you can simply ask Siri or Alexa to play the World of Football podcast. So let's begin today's show with Adam and the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right, everybody. As we all know it, the NFC and AFC championship games were played this past weekend, and we do have our two teams who will be playing in Super Bowl 57. It started off Sunday afternoon, which saw the Philadelphia Eagles defeat the San Francisco 49ers 31-7. But before we get any further, I guess we forgot to mention why this is a do-over show. Maybe we should quickly... I kind of goofed.
Well,
it was kind of a double goof.
Yeah, things happen.
Happen.
This is the first time that we've ever had to redo an entire episode because your microphone wasn't working yesterday.
Yeah, it was just a settings thing.
Yep.
And so I sounded like I was in a completely different room giving commentary for an hour.
Yep.
And that just did not sound great. So we said, you know what? We'll scrap it and we'll do it again tomorrow.
Yep.
But, the football gods blessed us with, we talked about it off the top there, Tom Brady retirement.
Yep.
And the Arena Football League coming back. We had, even after we stopped recording, we had some more news we're going to talk about later. A couple head coaches got hired. So
much happened since we stopped recording yesterday.
It made me almost go, should we just change the podcast to Wednesdays?
Well, this week, definitely.
But yeah, so we're doing it on a Wednesday. A little weird, but we're trying to keep this as a Tuesday. January Tuesday vibe. But man, we did a whole hour show, so it's going to be us retreading stuff we've already talked about.
But we've got a bunch of new stuff to talk about.
We do got a bunch of new stuff.
That's exciting.
So if we're frank on a couple of things, we apologize because we already had a full conversation yesterday.
It was such a good show.
I think that was. I'm not going to lie. I was really bummed because I actually did think it was one of our better shows.
Yeah.
And you were on your game. I was on my game. If you want to call my harassment of you game, which I do.
Well, yeah, you were on your game.
I was on my game.
And I was on the defense.
You were. Unlike San Francisco, whose defense fell apart against the Philadelphia Eagles, let's get back into that real quick.
This should have been
apologies for the detour.
Game. Yeah, this should have been a much closer game.
Should have been. Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. So real quick, the injuries kind of got to San Francisco. Yep. Brock Purdy got hurt, and yesterday all we knew it was like a elbow surgery. He might be out 6 months. Well, now I think it came out today. He's going to be out for a full year.
Really?
Tommy John surgery.
I hadn't heard that.
I just saw that before we hit record.
Wow.
Supposedly he's going to need Tommy John surgery, and that's like a year-long thing. So Brock Purdy will miss next season, it sounds like, which is even worse than the 6 months we heard before. So, man, what terrible news for that young guy, who had a great, rookie
Yeah.
season. I mean,
Yeah.
coming in
7-1
third
is
string
the record.
quarterback comes in and pretty much carries that team or keeps them playing real well going
Yeah.
into that championship game.
Got him to the NFC
But
Championship.
like I said, the injuries piled up and Philadelphia capitalized. It was a close game there at first, but
Yeah.
after a while, I think it just got to San Fran. Philly blew the doors off them and just held on to win 31-7. So
Yeah. You kind of expected Philadelphia to win, just not in this fashion.
like I said, I thought San Francisco, especially the way they played early, I was like, this is a team that can hang with the Eagles. It's just after Purdy got hurt,
Yep.
after a few mistakes, a couple penalties that weren't called, the big one-handed catch by Devontae Smith, getting, and kudos for the Eagles for, or especially Devontae Smith after he caught it. He knew he did not catch it,
Yeah.
got them to hurry up to the line. They called the play so they couldn't review it. But I told you because I was watching the game with you, I was like, he didn't catch that ball. He got up way too fast.
Yeah.
They tried to hurry up real too fast.
But you couldn't see it on the
Yep.
replay. It took like 5 or 6 different angles before you finally saw that it was. Yeah.
Right. And they didn't
He
even show
called it.
that angle until after the commercial break.
Right.
When
Yeah.
they finally went back and looked at it and it was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, he didn't catch it. And it's like, well, kind of figured as much. But
Yeah.
kudos to the Eagles. They did what they needed to do. So let's not make it be about what the Niners didn't do. It's what the Eagles did. And what the
Yes.
Eagles did was they played a full, team game. They deserved to win that game. And, I'm not upset that they're in the Super Bowl. While I am not a fan of their head coach or their fan base, yes, I will keep doubling down on that. That's fine by me.
Give it a rest, son. Give it a rest.
I can't help it. But Nick Sirianni, I give him a little credit. He's got cute kids. If you saw the video of his press conference where his daughter was like, I don't know if she was doing like the sign language thing, like they do on news broadcasts. Somebody standing up to the side, and she was just kind of waving her hands around. And he had to stop and go. I forget his daughter's name. Like, you stop, Taylor, stop. I think it was Taylor or something. And she just like got all defeated and sad and just like slumped in her chair. It was really cute. But yeah. Other than that, not a big fan of the.
Okay.
All right. Anything else from this game before
No.
we move on?
Nope.
All right. Then in the AFC Championship game, it saw the Kansas City Chiefs defeat the Cincinnati Bengals 23-20. This was a game really riddled with some questionable officiating calls. Get your NFL conspiracy theory hats on. Was it all rigged? I don't think so, but I do think that the referees were not up to snuff, and we talked about this on our show yesterday. We could lightly touch on the fact that I think it's time that they go to the Sky Judge. I'm tired of this.
Definitely. Yes, that's part of it. But also, why do they break up these crews, the officiating crews for the playoffs, when you've been working as a team all season long? You know each other's tendencies, and you work well together. You've been doing it for 20 games, preseason and regular season, and now all of a sudden, when it really counts, you break up these good crews and you throw people together that haven't worked together before. So that's stupid. They should be keeping the same crews through the playoffs.
And they should be full time. They
Yes.
need to stop
Well-
with this part time official. No, the NFL, you make enough money. Full time officials.
Yeah.
Get them to know the rules. Implement a Sky Judge. Let's get all this tightened up. Your product is, it's the NFL, so it's not going to just fall off a cliff. But it's irritating. It's one of those things where some games have been not quite decided, but it feels like they've been decided by bad officiating. But while I think a rational fan can sit down and go, look, if this would have happened and this would have happened, if this player would have made a play here, it all mounts up in the end. But the optics are usually towards the end of the game. There's a call or two that you're just like, wow, that was the difference maker. When really, maybe it wasn't, but just in the moment, that's what you go back to.
Yep.
To point your finger at.
This game went about as I expected it to go. It was a close game. Kansas City got ahead for a while, but Cincinnati came right back, tied it up. So with a couple minutes left, it's 20-20. You're possibly looking at overtime. Two evenly matched teams, and for a penalty, which this was not the ref's fault for calling this one. This was a genuine penalty when the one player, what was his name?
Osai?
Osai shoved.
Patrick Mahomes out of bounds.
Patrick Mahomes when he was running out of bounds. He was already out of bounds, and then he shoved him, so they got another 15 yards, which made that final field goal 45 yards and no problem.
That was a backbreaker.
Yep.
All game long, Mahomes was great playing off of one leg, literally running around on one leg.
Yes.
And that was like the first time all game that he ran out of the pocket, actually had a play where he just ran to the sideline and tried to get the first down. They still would have been out of field goal range wherever he went out of bounds, but that extra 15 sealed it.
That sealed it.
Can
you imagine how good Patrick Mahomes would be if he had two good ankles?
Man, I can hardly imagine. You know how many Super Bowls he'd probably win on two good ankles? I mean, he might win a Super Bowl on one bet, on one ankle, but
He should be fine in 2 weeks, I hope.
I hope so too. I just want a great, entertaining game.
Yeah.
These two teams playing, but I mean, real quick for Cincinnati, that offensive line started weak. Joe Burrow got sacked 4 or 5 times early in the game. They finally tightened up, and Burrow was able to make a few great. I'm talking great passes. Helping claw out of that deficit. But it was dumb penalties. And not just the roughing the or unnecessary roughness there at the
Right.
end of the game there with
Right.
like 30 seconds left. It was, the Chiefs having third and longs and having dumb penalties that kept drives going for the Chiefs. You can't give a team like the Chiefs the opportunity to just keep a drive going. If they stall out, that is to your benefit. You need to just play as clean as you can and hope that, maybe you get enough pressure on Mahomes on a bad ankle to throw a bad pass, which he would, and then got bailed out by a illegal hands to the face or got bailed out by a holding downfield kind of penalty. So, I mean, this was an evenly matched game. I thought the
Yes.
Bengals could take it, and they almost did, but,
Yep.
a couple things just didn't go their way, officiating aside. So, congratulations to the Chiefs. I am not disappointed by this matchup. This should be a great matchup between the Eagles and the Chiefs in Super Bowl 57. I've already been seeing the pictures of the Super Bowl patch on the jerseys. That just makes it all feel oh so real. Patrick Mahomes showing off the white jersey with the patch on it. So the Chiefs will be in white. They are the designated road team anyway. Philly will be wearing their green. So let's get to it. 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yep. Looking forward to it.
Yep.
It's going to be a long 2 weeks. It always is.
Yeah, even with the Pro Bowl games in between, which
We're not going to talk about
we
that
won't
right
talk
now.
about that, I guess. We went on a big thing about that in the original recording, so we don't have to retread that. But that is it for the NFL scores, and we have one college score Randy's going to tell us about.
Yeah, one college score, and I did not see this game played. I knew it was going to be played last Saturday, but I never saw it on TV. I never saw anything on any of the sports shows about it. Of course, I didn't watch a whole lot, but I didn't know anything until Monday morning when I looked up the score. So last Saturday, it was the 11th annual NFLPA Collegiate Bowl, where the American team defeated the national team by the score of 19-17 on a last-second field goal by somebody. I have no idea who it was at the Rose Bowl. So that was your one college all-star game that was played last weekend. And that's it for this week's World of Football scoreboard.
Wow.
Really quick.
Really
now,
quick.
Now, next week we'll have two college bowl games.
Yeah.
I think Thursday night is what did I say? Was it the Senior Bowl?
There's the Senior Bowl and then the East-West Shrine
and the
game.
East-West Shrine game, on Saturday. Yep. So, we'll have two scores to talk about next week.
Yep, and then whatever happens with the Pro Bowl games.
Yeah, well,
we'll see how we cover that.
I don't know how much I'm going to watch of the Pro Bowl, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to some NFL news. Tom Brady, at the age of 45, has retired again. This time, he says, for good. After 23 NFL seasons, 7 Super Bowl titles, 6 with New England and 1 with Tampa Bay. He's a 7-time Super Bowl champion, a 5-time Super Bowl MVP. He's thrown for 89,214 passing yards in his career. Drew Brees is the only other NFL quarterback with over 80,000 yards passing. He has 80,358. So Brady has almost 9,000 yards more than the next guy on the list. There's a record that is not going to be broken anytime soon.
Yeah, it could be a while.
Yep, it may not even be in our lifetime. But Tom Brady is now eligible to be a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2028.
And he's got a new movie coming out that I saw last night called 80 for Brady, which is my theory why he's retiring at this time. It is a conspiracy that he is retiring the 2 days before the wide release of his motion picture. Are you kidding me right now? Like, I go see this movie last night. It's a Tuesday night. I go out and see this movie with a bunch of old fogies and mom. And, whatever. I'm not going to talk too much about the movie. If you want to hear my thoughts on the movie, go to my YouTube channel, The Adam Snow Movie Show. I will have a full review up soon. But no, then today, I'm just minding my own business at work, and I hear my brother-in-law, slough on by and say, "Hey, did you hear that Tom Brady retired?" And I go, that son of a gun. My first thought was, he's only doing this to pull up publicity for his movie that's due out this weekend. Are you kidding me? Who retires on February 1st when you have a movie due out on February 3rd? Very curious situation, Thomas Brady.
So, were you the youngest person in the theater last night watching this movie?
I actually wasn't. There was actually I think somebody had a younger kid, like
Oh,
probably 7 or 8, walking around. I don't know if he was a Brady fan. I didn't see any Brady jerseys. A little surprised about that. But they've been doing a couple of early screenings for this 80 for Brady movie. They got another one tonight at the local movie theater. So I'm sure all across the country they got these. I think they're called BFF screenings.
mm.
So get all your pals and go see the movie in groups. And there were a few there that like seemed like they're in groups and whatever. I mean, it'll please some people, but won't make the list of the top football movies of all time.
Did you see his social media post where he announced his retirement?
Yeah.
He's like on the beach somewhere,
Oh,
and
he's on a beach at the end of the movie too. That's why I was like, oh, this is all connected. The last scene of the movie is him
oh
on a
really? Okay,
beach.
I didn't see
Yeah, it
that.
looks like the exact same beach. I ain't even gonna lie. He's sitting there with the 4 old ladies at the end of the movie. And spoiler alert, not really. I mean, whatever. It's based on a true
Hey,
story.
you don't have to spoil it for me because I'm never going to see this
Well,
movie.
it's not even that big a spoiler. We all know it's based on a true story. We know how what happens to Tom Brady then.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's him on the. It looks like the same exact beach. That's why I am tinfoil hatting that he's doing this all on purpose. So in a month after the movie has already been out of theaters and is probably streaming on Paramount Plus, he'll come out of retirement. That's my bet.
Okay. Let's move on to some other NFL news.
What else could be as important as the goat retiring?
The Carolina Panthers have hired Frank Reich as their new head coach. You'll remember he was fired mid-season by the Colts, and he actually played for the Panthers in their inaugural 1995 season, um, starting the first 3 games in franchise history.
Yep, and he's replacing Matt Rule, who was fired in the middle of the season. Who apparently I'm seeing news from a few hours ago. Matt Rule is actually suing the Panthers over a contract dispute.
Really?
So
Hmm.
that'll be an interesting thing to keep an eye out for. We went on a big thing yesterday. I guess I won't get into it today, but I am a little disappointed that the Panthers went this route. I thought interim head coach Steve Wilkes did a fantastic job with the team. Turning them around after they traded away star talent. Um, kind of leaving them with a whole lot of nothing. And that team turned around. They beat our Lions really handily when
Right,
they
yeah.
went up against each other. The Panthers were right in it towards the end of trying to take the NFC South division
Yeah.
with a
Yep.
losing record technically, but. I mean, they were playing good football at the end stretch there, and I thought maybe that was worth giving Steve Wilkes a shot. It was very reminiscent of when the Lions had Gary Moeller in the 99 season
Mm.
after Bobby Ross got fired midseason that he took over and we all said, "Hey, let's give him another shot."
Yeah, he had a winning record
Had a winning
in his
record at the
5
end.
games or whatever.
Just
he
missed the
coached.
playoff because of a Paul Ettinger field goal there
Yep.
to end the
Last
season.
second field goal by the Bears.
Yep, to knock the Lions out of the playoffs. But then the dark days came where Marty Morningwig and Matt Millen were hired. So
The Eminem result.
oh, what could have been if we would have just kept Gary Moeller as head coach? There's a 30 for 30 documentary
Who knows?
or a Marvel what if. What if the Detroit Lions kept Gary Moeller instead? Wow, we'd have 4 Super Bowls? Interesting. I love this timeline. How do I get there?
Yeah. Let's see. 49ers defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryan has been hired by the Houston Texans as their new head coach. And I didn't know this until today. He was a second round draft pick by the Texans in 2006, and he played 6 seasons for the team. So my question to you is, are Carolina and Houston following in Detroit's footsteps by hiring a former player as their head coach, seeing how well Dan Campbell has turned things around in Detroit? You know, this is a copycat league, so the minute one person has some success, everybody's following suit and doing the same thing.
I would hope that they're hiring the best people for the best, to fit those positions. Because if that's your basis, this sounds like a Matt Millen kind of thing, like the great Millen ball bit where, oh, let's just that guy's great in the video game, let's draft him, or we need to draft more of these players. Whatever. I don't know if there's any correlation there. I really don't. I just think D'Amico Ryan he filled in for Robert Saleh after Robert Saleh became a head coach. So he did great work as the defensive coordinator for the Niners. I think that earned him the job. But Frank Reich, I don't think he was a bad coach. He was definitely a great coordinator with the Eagles when they won their Super Bowl a few years back. Got him the head coaching job at Indianapolis. So for whatever reason, that not working out, the Panthers thinking, oh, you know what? We like his philosophy, and I think we can make that work here in Carolina. If that's your thought process, I guess that's okay. As disappointed as I am that Steve Wilkes is not the head coach there. But I don't know. I don't see a correlation. There's
I just,
former players hired all across this league now.
I just thought it was a little ironic, that two head coaches in a row are actually former players from that team, and they come back, and I'm like, gosh, that sounds like the Dan Campbell story. So I just thought it was ironic. So I'm
I
just
don't know.
throwing
I
it out
mean,
there.
Mike Ditka was the same thing. He was a former
Hey, there you
Bear,
go.
hired by the Bears to be a head coach.
Yeah.
I did see an interesting. Somebody put on Twitter. It was the similarities between Mike Ditka and Dan Campbell. So it was played for an NFC North team as a player,
Tight ends,
then became their head coach of the same team they played for, both tight ends,
right?
and then won a Super Bowl 3 years after they became a head coach. So
Ooh.
somebody was like, "Does that mean Dan Campbell's going to win a Super Bowl in year 3?" Let's not get crazy. I just thought it was a fun little picture. I don't actually believe maybe we'll win a Super Bowl, but we'll be
Well,
competitive.
it might not be a Super Bowl, but it could be their first Super Bowl.
Oh, wow. Somebody over there drinking the blue Kool-Aid still.
Yes, yes, I am. Let's see. The Denver Broncos have hired Sean Payton as a head coach. Thank you for getting him off of television because I could not stand to watch him on the Fox pregame. Oh my gosh. As compensation, I guess they had to deal with New Orleans to officially get him. So I don't know. Was this a trade? Were they trading the coach or getting a
I guess technically
compensation?
because of the way that contract was, that
Yeah,
whoever had him, it would have to be like a coach trade.
right.
But at the same time, what I was seeing, I don't know if this is 100%. I didn't fact check all this, but when I was on Twitter, it looked like from a few insiders that he was the second choice.
Hmm.
D'Amico Ryan was the
Oh, really?
Broncos' first choice, and they were trying. It sounded like they were trying to make a deal, and he almost backed out with the Texans. Like he was about to back out with the Texans or
Hmm.
something, and then like after he accepted the job, the Broncos panicked and then hired Sean Payton. I heard he was 2 or 3 on their list.
Hmm.
So
I don't know.
if that's true, that's just absolutely crazy to me that Sean Payton would be your second or third choice. But hey, whatever. I'm loving the memes already coming out of the Broncos saying, "Hey, if you didn't like us when we were, if you weren't with us when we were 5-11, then don't be with us when we're 6-11 next season or whatever." So I can't wait to see if this is going to be a train wreck.
Yeah. But anyway, as compensation, New Orleans will receive Denver's first round pick this year in 2023, which is at the number 29 spot. And then they're also going to get their Denver's second and third round picks next year in 2024.
Interesting.
So, yeah. Okay, that leaves just the Arizona Cardinals and the Indianapolis Colts without head coaches right now. So,
Yeah,
two more
so
coaches to go.
so I'm gonna be really mad if we stop recording today and they get hired right as soon as we hit
It could
stop.
happen the minute we stop. Yep. In some other news here, country music singer Chris Stapleton is going to sing the national anthem at the Super Bowl. It was announced. R&B star Babyface, who I'm not familiar with, will be singing "America the Beautiful," and Abbott Elementary TV star Cheryl Lee Ralph will perform "Lift Every Voice and Sing." I don't watch Abbott Elementary. I've never seen the show, so I don't
I hear
know.
great things.
I hear lots of good things about it too. I've never sat down and watched an episode, so
Set in Philadelphia, so
I'm
very
not
appropriate that they're having her sing for a Philadelphia Super Bowl.
yeah, so I don't know which character she plays or who she is. And like I said, Babyface. Are you familiar with
Nope.
this R&B guy?
Okay, we can stop pretend. We talked
Guy
about
or
this yesterday.
is it a girl or is it a guy? I don't know.
I think it's a guy, but
Yeah.
like we talked about yesterday, and we'll quickly go through this one. The diversity of picking a country singer, an
Sure.
R&B star,
Yep.
and then somebody from a TV show.
Yep.
3 different styles. I love this.
Plus Rihanna.
Plus Rihanna doing the halftime
Yep.
show, and I think she'll own halftime. I think that'll be actually a great highlight. Even you, who probably aren't a big Rihanna fan, you probably can't even name 3 songs by Rihanna.
No.
I can barely name 3, but I know 2 of the big ones. But I think she'll put on a heck of a performance, and that's all that matters. Entertain us. That's all we ask for.
I
So
hope
yeah,
she doesn't wear that same hairdo she's been sporting in the commercials
the
for
fact that you have a problem with the chic look of the people from Whoville, really, I thought you'd be more accepting of other people's cultures, and the fact that you are against the Whoville people, I'm a little
Who?
disappointed.
Me?
Yes, you.
Oh.
You're being the Grinch right now, and I don't like this.
Yeah. Our last bit of NFL news tells that the NFL is increasing the salary cap next year to $224.8 million per team. That's up from $208.2 million this year in 2022, or this past season. That's an increase of $16.6 million for every team for their salary cap
Man,
next
some
year.
players are about to get paid. I saw that and I was like, man, the NFL must have had a really good year if they're going to boost up their salary cap like that.
Yeah,
I mean, we already know they make money hand over fist.
sure.
They got so much money they don't know what to do with it half the time. How about you pay your officials full time first off? But hey, I mean, anytime I see the salary cap increase, I think it's a good thing. But
Hmm.
at the same time, it's also one of those double edged swords where it's like, well, now some of these teams that were already kind of on the brink of like having to navigate the salary cap just get a little extra breathing room. And it's like, darn it! Like just as a team was like the Cowboys were reaching the brink of, oh, how are we going to pay all these stars? Now you give them like a lifeline to pay a couple guys.
Yeah, they've got money out there. You remember when they played, what was it, the 2020 season with no fans in the stands?
Yeah,
They still turned a profit that year, a big profit. So they don't need fans in the stands. As long as they got those big TV
that's
contracts and their
true.
sponsors, they are set to make money hand over fist, overflowing out of their pants pockets.
Jersey sale, all the merchandise. Yeah,
Yeah,
what a well oiled business that is. Other
yeah.
than the fact that they don't have full time officials, I will die on this hill.
All right, let's move on to some USFL news.
Who also doesn't have full time officials.
You don't know that.
I don't know that.
Canton, Ohio was announced as a hub city, which came out of nowhere.
Did it though?
Well, yes, because they'd been talking for a week or more that Detroit was going to be a hub city, which
Well,
it is.
it is, but I mean,
But
we're
the day
not
before,
shocked that Canton was picked, are
no,
we?
no, I think it's a good fit. It's a really good fit because that's where
They
the
did the
championship
hub
game
for the
was last year.
playoffs, so I was like, that just seemed like a natural fit.
Yeah,
So
but
not
I
shocked.
just had not heard them mention Canton as a hub city for next year. So that's just my point. Anyway, so Canton and Detroit have both been named hub cities. Detroit is going to host the Michigan Panthers and the Philadelphia Stars, while Canton is going to host the New Jersey Generals and the Pittsburgh Maulers. Now, Memphis and Birmingham have already been announced as hub cities for 2023 down in the South. And speaking of the Maulers, you pointed this out to me. I didn't even realize it. The Maulers have changed their color scheme, not their logo, just the color scheme, to black and gold in order to match all of the other Pittsburgh sports teams. And I never thought about that. That
Yeah.
all their sports teams are all black and gold.
Yep.
The
Isn't that
Steelers, the
crazy?
Penguins,
The Bruins,
yeah, whatever.
the
Yeah,
Pittsburgh Power when they were in the Arena Football
yep.
League,
And
and now the Maulers,
now the
and I think
Maulers.
even their whatever their soccer team is called,
Hmm.
and probably one other. I don't know if they have a women's team there or what, but yeah, all black and gold.
Yeah,
Really cool.
yeah. Those they showed the graphic of like 5 or 6 different teams uh, against the backdrop of the skyline of Pittsburgh, and they're all black and gold. So that's kind of interesting. Okay, you took your mom to see the 80 for Brady movie
Yep.
last night, and anything else you want to say about that?
And like I said, you can check out my full review on my YouTube channel. I already told you where it was earlier. I'm sure it won't be hard for you to find. Look, for you football fans out there listening, if you're a Tom Brady fan, this is probably one of those like I won't say it's a must see, but it's probably one you're going to go see regardless of if you think it's good or not. Uh, it tries to be charming. It gets there to an extent, but I think Mom put it real well when we after we got out of the theater last night. She goes, I thought that it just didn't quite reach the cute level I thought it was going to. Like where you go, that was a cute movie. Like it wasn't Citizen Kane. It wasn't uh you know any of the great movies, but it was one that you could sit there and you could go, that was cute. I had a good time. I enjoyed it, and I was like, that's all I wanted. I just wanted an enjoyable time, you know but it was a little more eye rolly than even I thought it was going to be.
Mm,
As great as the four leads are, they're screen legends.
right.
A little flat. I wasn't crazy about a few of them, and their chemistry wasn't all great.
I mean, their acting was flat.
Their acting was flat. What do you think I meant was flat? Tell me, what do you think I meant by flat?
Nothing. I knew you were talking about their
Tell you
acting.
what,
That's why.
Dolly Parton showed up before with some music video before the movie started, and she ain't flat. I'll tell you that. But no, so like the acting was flat. But Sally Field though, Sally Field, give me a call, lady. I don't care how old you are. I have a big old crush on Sally Field. She was charming. She was great. I think she's the only one of the four main actresses that um convinced me that they were whatever character they were supposed to be. I just
Mm,
bought into Sally Field. She just had that charm, and I
right.
I loved it. I loved her. Any scene she was in, as ridiculous as like a scene of her eating hot wings with Guy Fieri, or a couple other scenes she got to have. She had a great running joke about her fanny pack in the movie. If you've seen the trailer, you've seen it, and it's a great running gag. I think, she was the best part of the movie. Tom Brady cuts in and out as like dream sequence Tom for the main lady who's trying to get her group of gals to go to the Super Bowl for this big hurrah adventure. And you see him on a TV screen talking to her, or you see him as a bobblehead talking to her at one point. Yeah, it's just it was okay. And then it gets a little absurd at certain points where you're like, okay, there's no way. Yeah, it's based on a true story. There's no way this could have happened or this. So you just got to kind of go with it. And if you can do that and check your brain at the door and just be like, oh, this is cute and a little absurd, but I'm having fun, then good for you. I mean it. I mean, I just couldn't get there. I was just like, this is so ridiculous. That couldn't happen. Oh man, it's just.
I think they took a lot of Hollywood liberties
Oh,
with
of
it.
course. Any
But
of these.
but it is based on a true story. There was a group of I think it was
showed
5 ladies.
They showed the 4 ladies at the end of the movie. They showed the
Okay.
picture, no video, just a picture of them in some
Right.
80 for Brady sweatshirts.
Right.
But the main thing I was telling you before was like that I was looking at during the movie was I like seeing how accurate a film is when portraying, and this is portraying the 2017 Super Bowl, Super Bowl 51 in Houston. So like they go to this NFL fan experience, and I'm like, all right, let me find the inconsistencies. Like, are they misusing logos or jerseys? And I'm not gonna lie, they did really good in some aspects because they had the appropriate like Jaguars jerseys who've since changed. All the iconography and the logos from that Super Bowl all seemed to fit, which was fine. But then there was only one thing I caught, and it was they had the current Los Angeles Rams helmet. When back in 2017,
they hadn't switched to that new
helmet. They had the old style with just the full solid ram horn.
Right.
So I was like, I got you.
The good one, not the crap they're wearing now.
The classic looking one. So I was like, I got you. I see it. I knew you guys were going to screw up.
That's because no football fans were going to this movie, just a bunch of old people.
Wow. But so not terrible, but definitely, I mean, save your money. Watch it on Paramount Plus when it comes out.
Yeah.
Don't give Tom Brady your money.
Right,
I mean, he's only retiring, so you can go see this movie, or you'll feel obligated to go see it. That's the whole thing. But I mean, it's okay. I mean, if this is up your alley and you want to take some friends, go for it. Try to enjoy it. It just for me, it was just it was okay. Yeah. I won't give it a grade here. You can go to my YouTube channel.
Okay.
I'll have just as many thoughts.
Okay. Very good. Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, and now we come to the biggest news of the week, and that is the Arena Football League is back, baby.
The sky has opened up. The angels are singing.
Our prayers have been answered.
We can throw on jerseys that don't fit us and hats that have been sitting in closets collecting dust for however many years.
That's right.
And it feels great.
Even if we don't get a team in Grand Rapids, we can wear this stuff to.
I don't know. I think we need to start making the push for Grand Rapids. We need to get out in front of this.
That would be ideal, but who knows?
Yeah, who knows? But so, why don't you start off? Break down what happened today, because oh man, I was ecstatic. But there's some stuff to talk about with those.
There was a press release today.
Oh my God, you printed it off? You have an iPad. You can have it on the iPad, you old fogey. What are you doing?
You can't highlight stuff on a press release without printing it off.
You open a PDF and you use the highlighter function. What are you doing? You're so old.
What's a PDF?
Oh my God. See what I have to work with?
Anyway, press release came out today. Said that they're going to return in 2024. So not this year, but next year they're going to be returning. They're going to have 16 teams, which seems pretty ambitious.
Okay, I'll stop you right there. As soon as I saw 16 teams, I went, oh no. I mean, I like the idea of 16 teams. I like the idea of being that bold and getting out there. But at the same time, I'm like, that seems like a lot to undertake. Because you see all these other startup leagues, it's 4 teams or 8 teams. Like XFL and USFL both started with 8.
I would have been happy with 8 teams.
I would have been happy with 8 teams. A couple of regional areas and build out from there, which is what the Arena League kind of did when they first did their little reboot back in, what was that, 2010?
2010.
Or because eventually they got down to like 4 teams at one point.
They started out with 4, they ended with 4.
Yeah.
And at one point they had 19 at their highest point.
Yeah, so to just go straight up to 16.
Yeah,
it seems like a lot. So
well, I'm thinking they probably already contacted a lot of teams.
This is where I'm thinking. Where I think the theory is, Are there going to be some indoor football league teams that jump over? Are there some National Arena League teams that will hop over? Or is it these two leagues agreeing that next year they're going to all merge and to form a brand new Arena Football League?
I don't
Who's
know.
to say?
Yeah. I don't know.
But we'll talk a little bit more. We have a little game we'll play, but
Yeah.
keep going with this press
Yeah.
release.
Let me finish the what I found in the press conference. So 16 teams, a 10-game regular season, and Iron Man football, which we've been talking about. We loved the old Iron Man
Yeah.
football concept where, what was it? 6 out of your 8 players on the field played both ways,
Yeah.
offense and defense. So, we love that concept. And it said that it is going to be a mix of new teams and previous teams.
Ooh.
So that tells me that they've already talked to some of these teams, maybe in other leagues, and said, would you be interested in coming back to the Arena Football League if we relaunch in 2024? And I think they probably got a bunch of teams that said, yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah. But anyway, the season is going to run from the week after the NFL draft, which is, typically the last weekend in April.
And you know where the NFL draft will be next year?
Detroit.
It'll be in Detroit.
Uh-huh.
We are just going to be winning next year. I'm telling you that right now. And if they have a team in Detroit or Grand Rapids, make it happen, Arena League. I mean, next year could be our year.
Yeah.
It could be the year of Randy and Adam.
Everything will be coming up the world of football.
There you go.
But anyway, it's supposed to start after the NFL draft and end the first week of NFL training camp.
See, perfect for players to
Yep.
get some
Yep.
tape out there.
Yep.
And then maybe get onto an NFL training camp.
And then be free to sign with a team and get in training camp.
I think that right now, like,
go on from there.
I was a little bummed about 10 games because I loved it. The Arena League would run 13, 14, 15 weeks, But you know what? If you're going to give me 16 teams, fine. Give me a 10-week season. Give me a few weeks of playoffs. So we'll see. They're doing they're saying all the right things right now.
Right.
And they said they're going to slowly roll out what teams are coming next year. So I'm excited about that. Anything else you want to cover real quick?
No, we've been hearing rumors that the Arena League was coming back. You got so excited, but I wasn't going to get
I was
excited
already
until I saw something official. That's official.
Andy killed a tree for that. So no, so the first thing I immediately thought of was, how can we turn that into content? How can we use the Arena Football League coming back for our YouTube gain?
Mhm.
Well, they said 16 teams.
Right.
I here have a list of cities that I think the Arena League will occupy next year. I won't go into maybe specific teams because who knows, maybe they'll change names or what. I don't know if they're really going to be jumping ship from all these different leagues or which ones will. So I just kind of came up with my 16 best guesses in no particular order.
Well, I too
look at
came up with my
but it's on the back.
16 teams on
Okay.
the back here.
Okay, well, why don't we? I'll go with mine first because you said we did it differently. I just wrote 16 cities.
All right, go ahead.
You went a little more.
I got a little more specific.
So we'll get to you in a second. All right. So the press release you were pointing out, it was from Arizona, like where
Phoenix.
This is where the league office sounds like it'll be.
Yep.
So that leads me to believe that maybe, and my biggest leap is that the Arizona Rattlers will jump from
the
indoor football league to the Arena League. So I'm going to say one city will be Phoenix.
Okay.
My second city, and there'll be a fancy graphic here. I know you can't see it, but the people at home can see the graphic right now. Okay. My second city, Chicago. And a lot of mine are based off of teams or arenas that have NHL and or NBA franchises because that just makes so much sense from other ownership groups.
Right.
My third one is Detroit. They got that new
Little
Caesars Arena. I think that'd be perfect for it. Yeah. Jacksonville. The Sharks are in the National Arena League. I think they jump ship. Then I got Las Vegas, Albany. They got the Empire over in that league too. Orlando, Tampa Bay, Iowa, Atlantic City, Cleveland, Seattle, Dallas, Atlanta, Nashville, and my dark horse city. No, it's not Grand Rapids, unfortunately. Is Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And yeah, so like I said, some of those cities already have teams from the other leagues, and I think I could see them maybe jumping ship, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking, and we'll see how many I get right when all is said and done. But let's hear your list.
Okay, well, I went with teams that have already been in the Arena Football League. So if you return to a city, chances are you're going to have that same team nickname back.
Okay.
So anyway, I've got 4 different divisions here. And starting out in the West, I have the Arizona Rattlers,
Yeah.
the Tucson Sugar Skulls, which are an IFL team right now, but they're very close. And I think all of my divisions are geographically based. So you'll have 4 teams out west,
Yeah.
4 in the
See,
south,
I
4
tried
in
to
the
pick all
north.
my teams kind of like in a geographical sense
Yep.
too.
Yep. So on the west, Arizona Rattlers, Tucson Sugar Skulls, San Jose Saber Cats, and Utah Blaze. That'll be your West division.
Utah might be a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, they could put one in Las Vegas. I mean, they had a team there too for a little while. But anyway, in my Midwest division, I have the Iowa Barnstormers, a classic Arena Football League team, the Kansas City Brigade, the Quad City Steamwheelers, which was an AF2 team, but they're geographically right in that sweet spot there, and the Green Bay Blizzard. So that's my Midwest.
I almost went with the Blizzard jumping ship too,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. And because they were formerly arena teams, we know that their arenas will handle the rebound nets, and they know what it takes. Then I have my Great Lakes division,
oh god.
where I have the Chicago Rush, the Grand Rapids Rampage, the Detroit Fury, and the Cleveland Gladiators. And then in the South, actually the Southeast, I'm calling it, the Orlando Predators, the Tampa Bay Storm, the Jacksonville Sharks, and the Georgia Force. Those are my 16 teams that I'd like to see back. And
So we had quite a bit of a
overlap.
little overlap.
Oh, no, I wasn't paying
I wasn't paying attention to
what
yours
you said.
either.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I will have to put up that graphic. But I mean, I'm very excited about this. I
am too.
mean, but like they said, new and old. So I mean, definitely we're probably not thinking of some places, maybe some new cities that never had it. Maybe they'll bring the Toledo Bullfrogs into the league that they at one time were gonna.
Yep.
I saw somebody post that on one of the posts, so credit to whoever that person was. I was like, oh, I forgot about the Toledo Bullfrogs.
Yep.
But I mean, ideally, getting a team in Grand Rapids I'd lose it. We'd be buying season
tickets again. Yep, we'd
right
be season
off the
ticket
bat.
What if we get the same seats we had?
I don't know, but I will. We got your helmet right here. I will
man,
put on
I
this.
love that
I will
helmet.
run through a brick wall at the Rampage. Well, okay, well, not a brick wall, but I will put this helmet on and run into something if we get a Rampage team back. God, I want it so bad.
Yep, that would be awesome. But it's by the time the league comes back in 2024, they will have been dormant for 5 years since 2019, and so the Arena Bowl would be Arena Bowl 33 in 2024.
If they decide to stick with that, or maybe they change it up and instead it's just Arena Bowl 2024.
There you go. Yeah, I could do that.
I could see that being a way to go instead of keeping with the numerals, which I think would be cool. It'd be great if they stuck with the numbers, but
right.
At the same time, I could see it being like it's like another kind of reboot. But instead, we'll just adopt Arena Bowl 2024.
But at the same time, if you go with Arena Bowl 33, it shows that you've been around for 33 years. True. Even though you had a 5-year lapse and a 1-year lapse, for 6 years, but it's still been around since
I would prefer that. I would prefer the 33. Yeah, 87. Yeah. But I prefer the 33, but I will take, Arena Bowl 2024.
Sure. But I love the Iron Man concept
Yep.
again. 16 teams, like I said, ambitious. 10-game season is fine for right now. Fitting it in between, the NFL draft and the start of the NFL preseason or training camps sounds perfect. So I'm all on board.
All right, let's throw it to you, listeners/watchers out there. What teams are you hoping get brought into the Arena Football League? What teams, are you rooting for? I'm very curious. What new cities should get teams? I'm very curious about that. If you're on the YouTube video, leave your comments down below. Or if you're listening to the podcast, hit us up on Twitter. I'd love to hear all that stuff.
Yeah, let's start Arena Football talk.
I love it. I mean, we were going to be doing XFL videos on the channel, so why not? I'm so excited we actually get to do Arena Football videos. I never thought this day would come other than like big retrospectives. We're talking about new stuff, and it feels great.
Well, the Arena Football talk is not over with because Arena Football TV on YouTube posted another game the other day from 2001, the Detroit Fury at the Indiana Firebirds. This was the first year when we were season ticket holders in Grand Rapids, so we remember this season. Quarterback Raymond Filiaw and wide receiver touchdown Eddie Brown played for the Firebirds in this game.
What a great team. That 2001 Firebirds team was actually really good.
Yeah, it was.
They were a heck of a team. Raymond Filiaw was like the Michael Vick of the Arena League at the time. He would run all the time, and he was just that kind of versatile weapon. And then he could sling the ball down the field, and then Eddie Brown just catching everything left and right. And I think you went to the playoff game between the Firebirds and the
Yes,
Rampage, and
yes.
that wasn't the one that decided who went to the Arena Bowl, was it? Wasn't it?
I believe it was.
Yeah, because
Yes.
that was a shootout,
Yep,
and the Rampage came out on top,
yep.
and they beat a really good Indiana Firebirds team.
Yeah.
And the Firebirds were always one of my favorite logos. So when they moved to Indiana, I just love the Firebirds logo, the name. They're always kind of like my second tier. Like I
Mm,
kind of like the Firebirds, but
yeah.
I mean, obviously the Rampage have my heart.
And then for Detroit, Mouse Davis was the head coach, and the quarterback was Scott Semtemfelter, who we talked about some time ago.
Yeah.
Name so long it barely fit on the back of his jersey. And then they had a guard by the name of Arcal Trulock. I
Mm.
remember that name, Arcal Trulock. What a great name! I always thought he was like a wide receiver, but I guess he was a lineman. So uh, that's yeah, that's it for our arena football talk today.
All right.
Okay, let's move on to today's birthdays. Actually, we did this yesterday, and so we're
So
going to
it's
do
yesterday's birthday.
yesterday's birthday and one for today. So we're getting a double dip of birthdays today. For January 31st, End Don Hudson, aka the Alabama Antelope, was
Great.
born on this date in 1913. He died in 1997 at the age of 84. Of course, he played his college football at Alabama, and he played his entire career with the Green Bay Packers from 1935 to 1945. Over his 11-year career, he won 3 NFL titles in 1936, 39, and 44. He was inducted as an inaugural member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1963.
Hmm.
And then a birthday for today, quarterback Joey Sterneman, born on this date in 1900. He passed away in 1988 at the age of 88. He played his college football at Illinois. He played 8 NFL seasons between 1922 and 1930. He played mostly for the Chicago Bears, but he spent part of the 1923 season with the Duluth Eskimo, or I'm sorry, not the Duluth Eskimos, the Duluth Kellys, who I think
I think
became
you're gonna say
Duluth.
the Duluth Trading Company, the
No,
underwear makers.
no, they became the Duluth Eskimos later on, but Duluth Kellys in 1923. And in 1926, I'm sorry, Sterneman was the head coach and quarterback of the Chicago Bulls of the American Football League. This was the rival league that was owned by Red Grange and C.C. Pyle. It was only around for one season, but he jumped ship for one season, was the head coach of a rival uh, league team in Chicago, the Chicago Bulls. And he was the younger brother of former Bears co-founder and co-owner Dutch Sterneman, who George Halas eventually bought out to become the sole owner of the Bears. So there is your uh, birthdays for February 1st and January 31st. And now we're going to move on to some obituaries we have this week. This is where we take a moment to honor those who've made the world of football a better place. We're going to start with an obituary for Dave Albright, a linebacker in the United States Football League and the Canadian Football League over 7 seasons. He has passed away of a heart attack at the age of 63. Albright played college football at San Jose State and signed as a free agent with the Memphis Showboats of the USFL in 1985. He also played for the CFL's Saskatchewan Roughriders from 1986 to 1991. He won a Grey Cup title with Saskatchewan in 1989.
All right, our next obituary is that of George Rose, a defensive back in the NFL for 4 seasons, has passed away at the age of 81. Rose played college football at Auburn and was selected in the third round of the 1963 NFL draft by the Minnesota Vikings. He was also selected in the third round of the 1963 American Football League draft by the Buffalo Bills. Rose signed with the Vikings and played for the team from 1964 to 1966. He finished his playing career with the New Orleans Saints in 1967. Rose was inducted into the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame in 2009.
The next obituary is that of Greg Patrick, who played in the Canadian Football League and the World League of American Football over 3 seasons. He has passed away at the age of 53. Patrick played college football at Brown University. He signed as a free agent with the CFL's Hamilton Tiger Cats, where he played in 1994 and 1995. He finished his brief playing career with the World League of American Football's Frankfurt Galaxy in 1996.
Our next obituary is that of Jesse Lemonnier, a defensive back in the NFL for 2 seasons, has passed away at the age of 25.
Oh man.
The cause of death was not immediately released. Lemonnier played college football at Liberty University and signed as a free agent with the Los Angeles Chargers back in 2020, where he appeared in 6 games. He also went on to play 7 games for the Detroit Lions in 2021.
I'm sorry to say I do not remember him with the
It's
team. I remember the
unfortunate.
name.
Yeah,
He was only there for 7 games, but the name just isn't
I
familiar.
mean, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of those smaller,
Yep.
practice squad guys or
Yep.
guys that get elevated to game status because of injuries or whatnot that kind of slip through the cracks. I mean, it's hard, and especially it was only a couple seasons. It was last year,
Yeah. And I
and
don't
and it's
remember
just
him.
so much happens. You kind of get invested in that the current season, so you only can barely remember a handful of the guys who stepped up this year, let alone the guys from a previous season. So it's
Yeah.
unfortunate, but I mean the, the players in this position, like Lemonnier was in, there's a lot of guys out there like him, just
Yeah.
guys who are on the bottom of the roster who might get playing time, get a few games in during each year, but you probably don't remember their names. And
Yeah.
I mean, the league is made up of a lot of these guys, but it's really sad to see a guy 25, younger than me, even,
Yeah.
you know, whose football still had a lot of football left in him, probably,
Yeah.
to have everything tragically cut short. It's really sad.
Yeah, this is one of the sad obituaries that I hate doing. A young man, only 25 years old. A lot of these other ones are happy obituaries. A person lived to the age of 90 years old, and he played football back in the 1950s or something like that.
Right. Had a
That's
long,
a life well,
long storied
yep, that's a
career.
life well lived and a good long life. Lots of kids and grandkids. Those obituaries I don't mind talking about. But when you're talking about a 25-year-old kid, for whatever reason, we don't know the cause of death yet.
Um,
But for whatever reason, 25 is just way too young to be passing away. So, all right, we have a couple more to go. Another obituary: Henry Moore, a defensive back and a halfback in the NFL for 2 seasons, has passed away at the age of 88. Moore played college football at Arkansas and was selected in the second round of the 1956 NFL Draft by the New York Giants. He played for the Giants in 1956 and won an NFL title with the team. He also played for the Baltimore Colts in 1957. Moore was elected to the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame in 1990.
all right. Now this obituary must be one you added today because
Yeah,
this name is
yeah.
it uh,
Cagle?
is it Cagle? I was hoping it wasn't pronounced Cagle.
Yeah,
All right.
that's how I'm
Johnny
pronouncing it.
Cagle, a defensive end in the American Football League for 1 season, has passed away at the age of 75. Cagle played college football at Clemson and was selected in the 14th round of the 1969 NFL Draft by the Boston Patriots.
And that's about all we know about him.
Man.
I think after his 1 season, he went on to join the military for
Mm,
several years and went into banking or something after that. So,
mm.
but yeah, that's it for our obituaries. So, unless some other shocking news has come along, we're up to our history lesson today.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a whole lot that's new. I mean, a lot of news about Tom Brady's retirement,
Yep.
but nothing breaking as of right now. So,
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to this week's history lesson. And we're going to talk about the history of the Pro Bowl. This year, there will be no actual Pro Bowl game. Instead, there will be a flag football game in its place. Over the last few years, the Pro Bowl game has deteriorated into a sort of touch football game anyway, and it has been embarrassing to watch. The game has had a number of versions played over the years. Here's a look at some of the changes. Beginning in 1938, the NFL champions played a game against a team of NFL All-Stars in Los Angeles at the end of the season. The All-Star team was voted on by the fans. That first game featured the New York Giants defeating the All-Stars 13-10 on January 15, 1939. This format continued for 5 years, with the last one being played in 1942. There were no other games played through 1949. Then, after the 1950 season, Commissioner Bert Bell created the Pro Bowl game, which was played with an American team versus a national team format for 3 years. Beginning in 1953, the game used an East versus West format, which continued through 1965. From 1961 through 1969, the American Football League and the NFL held separate Pro Bowl games using the East versus West format. In 1966, The AFL game used the All-Stars versus the AFL Champions format, which saw the All-Stars defeat the Buffalo Bills 30-19. The first modern-day Pro Bowl game that was played after the merger of the AFL and the NFL was in January of 1971 in Los Angeles. The NFC defeated the AFC 27-6. The MVPs of the game were defensive back and running back Mel Renfro of the Dallas Cowboys and linebacker Fred Carr of the Green Bay Packers. Between 1971 and 1979, the game was played in 7 different cities: Los Angeles 3 times, and 1 time each in New Orleans, Dallas, Kansas City, Miami, Seattle, and Tampa. Following the merger, the NFC team wore helmets with the NFC logo on them, while the AFC team wore helmets with the AFC logo. But in 1978, players were allowed to wear their own team helmets with their Pro Bowl uniforms. The game moved to Honolulu in 1980, and it remained there through 2009. Living in snowy Michigan, it was always fun to watch the game being played during January and February in the beautiful Hawaiian weather. In 2010, the game was played in Miami, which was where the Super Bowl was played that year. And it was also moved from after the Super Bowl to the week before the Super Bowl for the very first time. The game then returned to Honolulu, where it was played again between 2011 and 2014. However, in 2013, the normal NFC-AFC matchup was changed to a draft of players to make up the 2 teams. Team Rice was captained by Jerry Rice, and the captain of Team Sanders was Deion Sanders. In 2014, it was Team Irvin, Michael Irvin, versus Team Carter, Chris Carter. The 2015 Pro Bowl was played in Phoenix between Team Irvin and Team Rice. The game returned to the traditional NFC-AFC format in 2016 and was played in Honolulu. The game moved to Orlando from 2017 through 2020, and the 2021 game was canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The last true Pro Bowl game was played in Las Vegas in 2021 and saw the AFC defeat the NFC 45-31. So here we are at the conclusion of the 2022 season, with a touch football game and the teams being coached by Peyton and Eli Manning. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the Manning brothers, from their ESPN shows to their many commercials. But I have some serious doubts about the watchability of a touch football game.
Yeah, we always talk whenever the Pro Bowl comes around. We talk about one of my memories, which was my brother's birthday is tomorrow, the youngest of us.
Yep.
And he was born the day of a Pro Bowl.
Yep.
Back many years ago, and I remember being a little 8-year-old waiting for you to come home from the hospital that day to watch the Pro Bowl with me because I, gosh darn it, wanted to see Barry Sanders, and I wanted you to be there too. I was so excited. The Pro Bowl always meant a lot to me, and it's just not the same anymore. We'll see how the Pro Bowl games go this weekend, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, it's I don't know how I'm going to react to this flag football game. I hate the idea. I love the Manning brothers, who are going to be coaching the game.
But can they salvage a whole
I don't
game
know.
for you?
My doubts are very high for liking this whole thing.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
We'll see. And one of my other favorite things, and you bring it up in, we use the graphic on our thumbnail, is that they used to wear the helmets with the N and the A on
Yes.
it before they would
Yep.
bring in the individual team helmets.
Yep.
You have a great, you remember back in 71 when they incorporated.
Well, 78 was when.
Sorry,
they changed.
78 is what I
Yep.
meant.
From 71 to 77, they wore either the national helmet or the American helmet, which was fine. But then when they switched in 78 to let everybody wear their own team helmets, that was so cool because now you could look down that offensive line and go, oh my God, there's 3 Steelers on that line, or there's my Detroit Lions guy, as a wide receiver. So yeah, you could pick out your guys from your team. And I that was a stroke of genius.
I still did that. Like even recently, but hey, look, there's so and so out on the field. There he is. He's out there right now.
Yep, there's our guy.
There's our guy. Because I had that same feeling, which I think is funny because I've already told you this story a couple times now. But playing the Madden video game, the graphics were such a way for a while that you couldn't mix and match helmets like that. You would just have the NFC in blue with white helmets with an N on it, and the AFC in red with a helmet with a red A on it. That's all they could do for whenever you got to the Pro Bowl. I was kind of bummed because I was like, oh man, I want to see Barry Sanders with the Lions helmet. Brett Favre wearing at least his Packer helmet, even though I hate Brett Favre, but I'd like to see each roster with all these
Right.
all-stars with
You
their
want to
helmets.
see all the helmets.
So finally, when the graphics for Madden got to the point where they could do that, revolutionized everything. I was like, we have reached it. We have reached the pinnacle of video games where now all of my players on my Pro Bowl roster have their unique helmets, and this is glorious.
That may be the only place you're going to see an actual Pro Bowl game anymore is on the
Right.
video games.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's sad. It is sad. I know a lot of people have not liked the Pro Bowl. From day one, they never cared for the Pro Bowl. I always enjoyed it.
I always enjoyed it. I mean, even when it came down to maybe some of the cruddy, like almost the two-hand touch aspect
Well,
the last 5 years.
it had deteriorated in the last few years, and I didn't like it the last few years because it was basically a touch football game. They were just there to collect a paycheck, and it was awful. So I mean, something had to change, and this is what they changed it to, and we'll see if I like it or not.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it bums me out a little bit. I mean, you can't put this in the middle of the season, like NBA or all those other leagues. Guys don't want to get hurt, and I get that. And player safety is a big thing. I'm 100% behind that. It does just bum me out that we can't go out there and just play one really hard fought game with a bunch of all stars. And
And it was so nice, the game was played either in late January or sometimes into February, and it was always in Hawaii. And so you'd be sitting in your house looking out at the snow coming down, and you're watching, scenes of the beach and all the sun, the people in the
everybody in
stands
Hawaiian
with their Hawaiian
shirts.
shirts and their shades, and hula dancers on the sideline. That was awesome for, that time of year for us here in Michigan to see what was going on in Hawaii.
Yeah.
That was awesome, and it's all over with now. So, oh well. All right, upcoming events calendar. Sunday, February 5th, the first Pro Bowl flag football game in Las Vegas. Boo. Sunday, February 12th, Super Bowl 57 in Glendale, Arizona. Yay.
Just give me a good game.
Yeah, and then Saturday, February 18th, a week later, the XFL regular season begins.
Go Vipers.
Yay. Go Battlehawks. And that's it for this week's show. Are we ready to wrap it up?
I guess so. No breaking news. We're good to go. Be on the lookout on the YouTube channel. We got some stuff coming. We're gonna put up probably this arena football segment we just did.
Okay.
And then at some point this weekend we're gonna get up top 10 football films. Not just in honor of 80 for Brady, which spoiler alert did not make my top 10 list.
Oh, really?
But even though I thought I had you last night when I saw you and I said, hey, you missed a good time. 80 for Brady is the top 10 football
yeah,
movie.
right.
You're like, no.
I knew you were lying out your butt when you said that. But I know this is February 1st, and we usually do Black History Month segments for our history lessons. And I wasn't prepared to do this today because we were supposed to be recording yesterday. But in the next couple weeks, I do have 4 Black History Month history lessons.
They all sound great.
About 4 individuals: Eddie Robinson, Charles West, Herb Trawick, and Bob Mann. Those will be the subjects of our 4 Black History Month features this month, in the month of February. All right. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we have done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can like The World of Football on Facebook at TWOF Kalamazoo. You can also follow us on Twitter. The address is at TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted normally on Tuesdays, but if we need to, we put up a notice and let you know.
Sure.
We are also available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. You can search YouTube for The World of Football Kalamazoo to find us, or use the handle youtube.com/@theworldoffootball. If you are using an Amazon or Apple device, just ask your Amazon device or Siri, Alexa, whatever you got, to just play The World of Football. our World of Football podcast, and hopefully they'll hook you up.
You'll be hearing our dulcet tones right after that.
Well, dulcet to some, annoying to others. Feel free to subscribe, rate, review, give us a like or a comment on whatever platform you guys use or anything you see. I try to interact with everybody. I mean, especially, man, we're getting a lot of people talking about their XFL teams. It's been
Yep.
great.
Yep.
I saw one guy today said he was switching from being a Battlehawks fan to a Arlington Renegades fan.
Arlington
And I
Renegades,
was
that's
like,
right.
oh, why? And I don't know if he's responded or not, but I'm going to keep an eye out for that.
Hey,
Hey,
whatever.
you do you.
No, yeah, you do you.
So yeah, please come be a part of the football conversation.
And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us. Until next time, I'm Randy Snow.
And God, I hope we don't screw up another show.
We'll see. We'll see you all next week.